You know, I think this might be my most favorite episode of the season so far. I really do. The shocking revelations, the acting, the sets and stuff, the development, and the shocking revelations we all saw coming, but it happened anyways. It still felt bad. All of it all came together and was well executed, in my opinion. And that being said, let's break this down orderly as possible. Is what I'm trying to do here. Because I'm not trying to do scene by scene, but more like character by character. But let's talk about Cooper Howard. Let's just do his scene first. Not the goal, because the goal he just goes off, drinks, and he's drinking his sorrows. But first, let's talk about Cooper Howard. They make it to Vegas. They're there in Vegas, and there's even in Vegas there are people outside rioting outside the Lucky 38. And you see that. You even see that one congresswoman who is there, and, and she's being completely disrespected. And you're hearing the music play, editing scenes all jingle jangle, and then until she's pushed to the ground and it stops. It means the mood is dead. Even with the other protesters there, it was still a good mood time. But until the congresswoman fell, and I love the scene where Cooper picks her up and stuff, and he says one of the ways of being good is facing tons of humiliation. Not the exact words she said, but I'm just doing it based off of memory. And I like that, things you gotta do to stand for truth and justice. And most of the time, you're standing by yourself or alone, and you're kind of used to it. You're not doing it for your public image, you're doing it for the greater good. That's how it usually is when it comes to these things. So I really like when she said that. Like, good on her. She stuck up to herself, and so that was very admirable. Admirable indeed. Now, the kids inside there. And then a scene that I really enjoyed, but it upsets me, is we see the decoy house. So it's not Anthony House, it is a decoy house in a way, and it really sucks. The only way I say that is because I like that actor more than the actual person who's actually House. I really, really hate that. He's a person who acts like that House. He when he enters, it shows a scene in this show. He has this aura about him. Like a dude who's just strictly on business. No BS. No runabouts. He is just, this is what I want, and this is what's going to happen. He had that look in his eyes, with the swollen, swollen eyes that he had. He looked like the House that you come in contact with on the video game. He feels that way. The other House, despite him being, I think this so far, his best performance yet, in my opinion, his best performance yet on the show, he just doesn't feel like House. He has that ego about him, which House does have an ego about him, but the House we come in contact to on the game, he's more cold. You know, he's a reasonable man, but a cold man, a distant man. This guy seems like he's just a little know-it-all and stuff, and he's playing his part very well. I'll give him that. But that double, I'm gonna miss that double. He did a very good job. So we find some shocking revelations that, House in a way wasn't the bad guy as we all thought he was gonna be. We don't know what's gonna happen to House in this show. Is he dead? Is he alive? What happened? The thing that they did is just feels weird. But anyways, he can confirm that no one during that meeting or House himself are going to drop the bombs. None of them are going to be in the meeting. He is a guy that truly proves that he does know everything. He was watching Cooper during the Battle of Anchorage. He's been picking up tabs on everyone and everything. And his motto has always been, the House always wins. But he says something very interesting. What if I am not the House? What if someone else is the house instead? He doesn't know who else is playing the game as well. And we say that, but I remember towards the end of season one, where they're at that meeting in Vault Tech, you see. A little tired here. My bad. You see someone in the shadows up below that Coop's wife is looking at, and she seems a bit nervous, trying to convince all these rich people to get on board with the plan. And she does that speech, and one of her suggestions was to drop the bombs themselves. So it's not Mr. House nor none of the millionaires. So could it be Vault Tech? Could have been the Enclave in a way, which is weird because the Enclave and them were because of the FEV, which is because of West Tech as well, by the way. The Mariposa base mainly. But it's a curious thing that they're trying to bring the Enclave slowly back into it in a way. But the thing is that I guess if you're a TV viewer and you never play the games, I guess the Enclave seems like a very interesting thing. But as a game person or lore watcher, you don't really care about the Enclave anymore. The Enclave have been defeated like three times already in this show. You could say twice, but I think it's three. They fell in Appalachia. They fell in Fallout 2 on the oil rig, and they fell again on Fallout 3. And then there were signs of them in Fallout 4 with the next gen update. But either way, the Enclave have always fallen, so if it is the Enclave, I'm not that big on them. You know, like, you know, Enclave, whatever. What I really wish I would have seen, really, in all this, was Stanislaus Braun. It would have been a good time to show him, because he's the guy who helped create the projects of the vaults in the first place, in the experiments. It would have been cool to see him as a cameo, because, he's such a big, important feature when it comes to Vault Tech. It would have been great to have him there. But, oh well. And then so Coop's entire mission was to kill House, because they believe House was going to use the missiles to drop on America or to China. But no, the missiles he was using was to defend Vegas, as we all know. So he is not the man he was poised to kill at all, proving that Modaver's entire mission was for nothing. Because he has the cold fusion. Well, he was supposed to get the cold fusion, so we didn't know he wanted cold fusion. He needed cold fusion to stay alive, to create a process to stay alive. But he also wanted the platinum chip to help bolster his defenses in Vegas. So Cooper leaves, all confused, drunk, and to the point that his wife picks him up, takes him to the bed, and they're going to have that talk. He's finally going to reveal everything about what she's been up to and what he's been up to next episode. Looking forward to that. Now let's go with Norn. Yeah, I sort of switch around. Norn. They're inside the Vault Tech building, and the Vault Tech building looks familiar because it's the one from season 1. They're there. We also get to see Varb and her partner as well there. And they're there because they created a roach farm. Yes, a freaking roach farm. Like, oh my god. They just have them locked up in there and they just get bigger and bigger. And I guess they start eating each other and the stronger ones will survive, creating a proper, strong rad roach. Like, oh god. There be some ferocious ass roaches, man. It's creepy as hell. But yeah, Norm was talking to one of the employees, saying how they weren't there for long, but they did mention one of Coop's wife, and he was pretty much hacking in, trying to understand what the thing that the other guy was talking about. I keep forgetting the name he called it, but it was Enterprise Ventures or something. But either way, FEV meant Force Evolutionary Virus. We knew that as gamers. We knew about that. But I guess to the people who didn't know, it was a shocking surprise. They were like, what is the fourth evolutionary virus and stuff, and looking at the people watching it with their reaction to it, and it was very pleasing. So they're hooked on to the story. So that's good. That's real good. And now Norm got knocked out because the dude was spying on them and found out that Norm wasn't really for Bud or anything like that. So the question is, what are they going to do with the people in Volts 31 through 33? What's could be happening? They're trying to make super managers. Could they making super mutant managers? What they're playing away was like kind of like the Master's plan, but not as grotesque. We'll have to wait and see if we find out where they're keeping the FEV at, first of all. But that's already happened too. It seems like a lot of plans that these people are trying to do have already happened. The Master tried to do that years ago. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, we see the snake oil salesman. He's here. He's on his way to Vegas as well. Cop fights off a Brad Roach, picks some flowers, and he's dating a Securitron, not a Securitron, about a Protectron. And we all thought, we were hoping it would have been Fisto. I was hoping it would have been Fisto. Imagine it was Fisto, and he was like, please assume the position. It's like, you could have done that. You could have done that, man. But Hank shows up, knocks him out, and brings him to his lab. And he asks him, would you like to forget everything and I reprogram you to work for me? And he immediately says yes. Like, he's just down for it. And the next time we see him, he looks like a corporate pig, is what he looks like. He's a corporate pig now. He's no longer the weird and crazy, grotesque steak oil salesman we all know and know. He's this dude now. Now, Lucy and the Ghoul are on Freeside and stuff. Freeside is still active. So what I'm getting from what's happening right now is that all the major powers are pretty much dismantled. NCR is broken in that area. The entirety of the strip is over. The Kings are gone. So the question is how did all this happen? They say that it's Deathclaw from Corey Junction, but you still have Conspiratrons that can take out those Deathclaws. The question is what happened? How did the Deathclaws get into the strip? Is the question. How did that happen? There must have been some battle for Hoover Dam. Something that must have happened for this. And I guess that's what people want. People want closure. So despite whatever ending they gave New Vegas in this show, they need to give the audience, the fans, a proper explanation of what happened on the strip. And I think either whether people like it or not, at least they find that closure on what happened. And I think it will satisfy a good amount of people. Me, myself. Because where the ending is, where the ending is. That's just where I'm at right now with that, Just tell me what happened. I need to know what happened. Because this was a very special game that it meant a lot to a lot of people. So I think people at least deserve that, knowing what happened on the strip, what happened this entire time, how the NCR fell in that area, what happened to Caesar's Legion, Leggett, Vulpes, the Kings. Apparently, even there are still some Kings still alive. It's just that only those were ghouls outside. So the question is how did they become radiated? These are things people would like to know. It's very important about these things. It's from a series, a game series that's very discreet when it comes to its detail. So because of that, that's why people are itching to know. Even if they become ghouls, we at least like to know why they become ghouls. It matters to us. It really does. Now, anyways, they're on a strip. The ghoul goes to get drunk because he knows what he has to do. And Lucy is looking for a place to cure her addiction, and she starts stealing. She's like in a game. She takes him a dick doll, and she takes a power fist. And then the guy who's there says that he's the owner, but I don't think he is. People believe that he actually killed the other owner, and he just took his place. And so Lucy killed him, and now she doesn't know who she is anymore. She's stealing. She's just killed someone that she stole from them. Even though she can't prove it, that's their place, she still stole from them. So she's like, yo, what happened to me? And the addict doll, I like how the addict doll kicked in realistically by flushing out all the toxins inside her body by you having to throw up. That's exactly what she did. And then they're like, ooh, realistically. So it's good to see at least there's people there on the strip. So that's nice. So when she gets to the house, the room, and the Atomic Wrangler, by the way, that's the Atomic Wrangler. So I wonder where the Garrett twins are at. I'm just saying. Let me guess. The thing is that when I'm looking at a certain site like Facebook, and it's only on Facebook I'm seeing on the Fallout groups, when if anyone critiques or questions what happens to anything in the Fallout games and from the TV show, the Bethesda shows will say, well, a lot of years passed, so anything could happen. A lot of years. It's the same thing they keep saying. Don't ask questions. Consume product and be excited for the next product. That's the entire thing I got from those conversations when I was on Facebook. I'm sorry to sidetrack there, but that was literally it. Every single time people would ask a question or criticize anything about this show, they would say, well, if years pass, anything could happen. No, the game surely showed that Vegas was bound to fall no matter what. No, it didn't. Wow, you won't believe how much people will shill for a multi-billion-dollar company, no matter what choices they make. It's amazing. But anyways, I digress. I don't want to get into a rant there. This is about this show. So the snake oil salesman shows up and he is well dressed and he's telling them a message from Hank. Send the daughter back home and we will help your wife and daughter. And that was it. So that was why he brought her there. So he knocked her out and was going to bring her all the way back to the vault, which would be very difficult because hopefully that tranquilizer dart could keep her asleep for the entire ride. It took weeks for them to get there. Imagine dragging an unconscious body, with nowhere to walk. Like, how are you going to carry her back? Are you just going to drag her back? You tie her up, put her on her Brahmin or something? It's like, yo, you gotta think about these things, Mr. Ghoul. But anyways, before she could pass out, she uses her power fist knock the crap out of him out the window, and he falls onto a pole, impales him, and he survives. The thing about this is I think it's just Cooper Howard. For some reason, he's very durable. Because any other ghoul, if they get shot or damaged, it would affect them greatly, and they would die. But for some reason, Mr. Howard, he can survive all of that. He's just that durable, which is very strange. I wonder why he's that durable. Questions. But anyways, she passes out, but before she fully passes out, she sees her father, calling her his sugar bomb, and scene, and that was it. So yeah, like I said, I think this is my most favorite episode of the season so far. Very good, fast paced, shocking revelations. We got some answers, so I can't really complain. The only thing I can complain about is, once again, is the canon ending to New Vegas. And how, as a fan of a franchise, you feel like that, you wish there were at least some good explanation of how everything fell apart. When it comes to Fallout, you're explaining these things to you, so that's why you like it. Hopefully they have some miniature video or something explaining how everything fell apart with the NCR, with the casino families, with the kings and everything. It would be nice, No more, well, it's 15 years passed, so anything could happen. I'm tired of hearing that. That's not a good excuse. That's just you sweeping out the question so you don't have to answer it. And that is not good. It just shows you are a pay pig. You are. That's what it means. It means you'll just buy any slop that these companies will give you just because you like it so much, and that is it. But anyways, I digress. I enjoyed the episode. I'm still enjoying the series, but it's just that the lore enthusiast and the fan of me has a lot of questions. That's just how I am. So, anyways, I think that's all I got for this video. I'm excited. Can't wait for the next episode. We got 3 episodes left. So let's see what happens. And what does that countdown mean on the site, too? Will it mean a trailer for next season, where it's going to be at, or people think it's going to be a remaster reveal, which I doubt it. That would be nice, but I highly doubt it. We'll have to see. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, hit that bell icon. This has been Madcrownxox. I'm Anime. Signing out.